Hello, everybody. How are you? This is Uncle Bruce with my friend Juvenal. And today we're talking about the idea of vasectomy. And so I want to caution you that we may go into areas of religion a little bit, okay? And so this is just the way life is, where we talk about some things and it connects to our ideas of religion. And so please be aware that we may talk a little bit about that, about our thoughts, about our feelings, about how this idea of vasectomy, which is with men being sterilized, how that affects us and how that relates to our ideas about religion and God. Okay, so here we go. And Juvenal,
Hey, Bruce.
what do you think about this idea of vasectomy?
Mate, for me, it's something, I don't know, in my perception, there are a lot of behaviors of a people that is changing, mainly after the pandemic, from my point of view. So okay. In this case, I think it's a phenomenon that it's occurring because of maybe the struggling of relationship, in general. Maybe people are not are becoming less tolerate to the little, how can I say, defectives of others.
Yep, the defects of others.
Defects,
so
yeah.
I'm going to share my screen real quick, just to show you guys where we got our idea from here, okay? We got our idea from this article here from the BBC talking about vasectomy, U.S. men embracing permanent birth control. So we started doing this, thinking and looking at this topic because we read this article, at least not entirely, but part. And to understand what we're talking about today, this idea of U.S. men becoming sterilized, but people around the world have the same process. Not only Americans. I mean, what do you think the percentage of Brazilian men have vasectomy? What do you think the percentage is?
In my point of view, I think the same phenomenon that is occurring that's happening in USA is not happening here in Brazil with the same intensity, because of some myths like the masculinity or of Latin men. So maybe it's not so easy to see this occurring here, but I think it's a trend. It's a trend.
Well, one impetus, one reason that the U.S. men are getting the vasectomy is to basically protect the woman, because the U.S. court case called Roe versus Wade, which allowed for abortion to happen, well, that was rescinded. That was turned over, and now it's not legal to have an abortion. But some states are making it legal. They're still allowing the members of their state to have an abortion if they want. And some are, giving some possibilities. I read an article yesterday. I don't remember which state it was, but I think it was Arizona, which gave the doctors discretion about deciding if a woman should get the abortion or not. So it was left to the medical officials and medical people to determine, should this woman have an abortion because the baby's birth is going to threaten the mother's life. And then it gets into the part of a birth defect. The doctors can look at the baby inside the womb of the woman and decide or understand if the baby will have a birth defect, like, born without arms, or born autistic or some of these things. I don't know if they can determine that, but there are ways that it can see defects in the baby as it's forming inside the woman's body. And so they tell the mother and the father, guys, we need to tell you that your baby is going to be born with no legs or no arms, these different defects. And we recommend that you have an abortion, because you don't want a baby like this, right? So then it gets into ethics, Ethics are based on personal convictions and ideas. And also a lot of it's connected to our ideas about religion and about God or no God. So, this gets into a what they call in America a gray area. It's not this way and it's not that way. It's in the middle somewhere, okay? So
exactly.
This article is basically talking about the men are deciding to get vasectomies because the woman cannot get an abortion anymore in their state. And that's what I was reading is that the guys say, hey, I'm going to get an abortion. I'm sorry, I'm going to get a vasectomy. I'm going to get a vasectomy to prevent us from having a baby. Because when my sperm meets your egg, whoop, we get a baby. Not always, but many times. So to prevent you from the need and necessity of an abortion, I'll do my part. I'll get the vasectomy. Because what are the other options? The other options are the pill. And in some of the states that abortion is illegal, the pill is not even legal. They can't take the pill either. I don't know what it is, it's crazy, but
it's crazy. Yeah. So from this point of view, it makes sense what's happening there, because here, I don't know, because it's a gray area and it's a huge controversy about this, even in Brazil, especially in Brazil, because we are still in majority Catholics.
Yes.
And it's very hard to accept this, in despite of sometimes the woman need to have an abortion because the baby was originated on a rape event, or even has some defects,
Defects,
and
incest, where the father, the uncle rapes the girl, and she ends up getting pregnant.
Exactly. So in this case, it's very hard to and from my point of view, it's hard to allow the pregnancy, because what's going on with baby? What's going on with someone that would be not loved?
Well, there is the possibility of adoption. And I know families that have adopted. I know the children, and it's a lovely family. I know some gay couples, and they decided to adopt children. And so they have children because of adoption. They, of course, could not have children themselves, but, there are different ways. I guess the problem that comes into play with this whole situation is that here in Brazil, a woman can't have an abortion if they want. And maybe it can only happen when a doctor recommends that they have an abortion because of a problem with the pregnancy, a problem with the threat to the life of the woman. So maybe these are authorized, but generally speaking, abortion is not allowed in Brazil.
Exactly. And the other side, the adoption law is, so delayed, and the legal organization here,
bureaucracy,
does not help. does not
doesn't help
help.
at all.
Yeah. So it's a difficult question, for women or even for working class women in general with low income.
Yes. So it'd be very hard for a low income woman to get an abortion. They would have to go to someplace clandestine and have take a risk of dying because of the abortion, because the person that's doing the abortion is not a real doctor, and they're just doing what they think, and a lot of times the outcome is not good. The woman bleeds to death, or the doctor does something wrong and it causes the mother to die. So it's crazy, man. I personally, my opinion, I don't like abortion. I don't like this method of birth control, okay, if you will. When the woman gets pregnant and she wants to have an abortion because she doesn't want the baby. I don't like this, but I respect the law, number one. And number two, I respect a woman's choice, but it's not only the woman. The man was involved too, and the man should have a choice too. If the woman wants an abortion, but the man doesn't, it's like, it's a crazy man.
Yeah.
Because it makes two to make that baby. It's not just the woman. But
exactly.
They basically say, well, the woman has to endure the pregnancy, the woman has to give the birth, and then the woman normally has to care for the baby if the man is not involved. So
exactly,
it's much more of a responsibility for the woman than it is for the man. I want to share my screen again real quick to talk about the ideas of birth control. And so here are the different ways that they talk about with birth control. With female sterilization, which is to have a hysterectomy, to remove the female organs, the ovaries, the I guess, I don't know, all the different parts, the womb. So, and then the oral contraceptive pill. I think this is probably very common in Brazil, correct?
Yes, very common.
Yep. So this is available in Brazil.
Yeah. And some years ago, a decade ago, if I'm not wrong, it appears in Brazil, to be honest, around the world, mainly in the Occidental world, the not pills, but some introjected.
I know that there is a device called a diaphragm that the woman could insert. It's kind of like a female condom.
Yeah, but there is another one that's more modern. Okay. It's under the skin with some a baston, a stick, under the skin in the arm that will work for 3 years, if I'm not wrong.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. And this stick contains the
hormones, yes.
The hormones that will be, enter into the blood flow according to the years.
Right.
So 3 years of working.
Okay. So, with that picture we were just looking at, there are many women. This is based on the United States, not on Brazil, but just to have an idea about, a culture that's going through this situation. A lot of women don't use anything, and so the man can use a condom. That's one thing to prevent pregnancy, but a condom's not something that a lot of men like to wear, or to use to prevent pregnancy, and so then they take a chance. Okay, they take a chance. They roll the dice. Okay, so it's not the best.
Yeah, that's the reason that for me this article is very interesting, because there are some differences between the American society and Brazilian society in place. Like, for example, here in Brazil, this kind of concern of men to do some vasectomy, I think it's not so perceptible here, because Oh no, it's a problem. It's a woman problem. It's not my problem. Okay, so even it is a problem of a woman to avoid pregnancy. And sometimes guys do not use condom, for example. So again, it's a controversy issue. It's a question of health, public health, at the end of the day, because of in general the health system, the public health system, the educational process, culture, people without a homeless in general. So it's a huge problem that should be how can I say, should be or should think about and discuss about a lot.
Okay.
A
Well,
lot.
one thing I wanted to point out too is that if a man decides to have a vasectomy, before they have the vasectomy, they can do a collection of sperm, and they can freeze that sperm, and that sperm can be reactivated in a in vitro fertilization.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, but that's expensive.
Exactly.
So, if you get an average person that says, "Oh, I'm going to get a vasectomy to prevent my girlfriend, my wife from getting pregnant because we don't want a baby right now." Well, if you keep that sperm in a sperm bank, okay, normally, because it has to be kept at a good temperature that allows the sperm to, survive, I guess you could say, to be frozen at a particular temperature so that it can be reactivated in a future time. Well, that's expensive, just to put the sperm in the sperm bank and then to take that sperm out and give it to another group of doctors to insert that sperm inside the woman's body into the egg. It's a lot of money. I know.
Exactly.
I have a friend that did it, I think 5 times. 5 times here in Brazil. But then, they have a baby, but it took a lot of money.
Exactly. It's addressed only for people with huge resources.
Yeah. It was very expensive for one time.
Yeah.
They did it, I think, 5 times.
Yeah.
So
This is a kind of industry. The natality, and the industry of avoiding pregnancy is so huge. So for you have a treatment to fertilize your spouse or wife, it's so expensive. To keep your to keep your sperm, it's so expensive. For a woman, for example, that has some problem with uterus.
With the uterus, yes.
Uterus. Sometimes that is necessary to take it off. The woman can freeze their eggs as well, but it's so expensive again.
Right. So yeah, none of it is a cheap thing. It's not a cheap operation. It's expensive. So
exactly,
this idea of vasectomy, it's normally one way. You do this and that's it. You don't go back. But you can save your sperm in another way to have a baby in the future using your sperm. But once you do a vasectomy, it's normally not reversible. I know because I did it. I had medical benefits with the military. I had a vasectomy while I was in the military. Then I tried to undo the vasectomy, and it was not possible to have sperm flow again. So
Mhm.
I can tell you, if you do it, it's a done deal, man. Don't think about going back.
It's forever.
Yeah, it's a forever thing. That's what you need to think about. So if you do want to
Mhm.
have sperm for the future, you can freeze it, but there's a cost to do that. I don't know, it's expensive. And then to use that sperm, a bigger
Mhm.
cost. So it's
Yeah.
not easy, these decisions. They're very controversial. Having an abortion, controversial. So this topic today is a little bit, what do they call it? Polemic. Okay. We
Exactly.
don't use that word a
Exactly.
lot. We don't use it. It's kind of a higher education. It seems like the Brazilians use a lot of higher education words compared to the average American English that we use in everyday language. It's very interesting because polemic exists in the English. Polemica, okay? The idea is
Mhm.
polemica. And we don't use the word polemic. We say controversial, which
Yeah.
exists in Brazil and in Portuguese too, controversial, but we don't
Yes.
use it a lot. We use the word polemic or polemica more. So it's interesting to look at the language differences. And it's interesting to me to see that Brazilians normally use what I call the higher level of language, but maybe not so. Maybe it's just a word that we don't use. Like the British use words that the Americans don't use, and vice versa. We use words that they don't use to describe the same thing. Okay?
Yeah.
But abortion is abortion, okay, in British or American English.
Mhm.
It's the same thing. It's a very invasive operation for the
Yeah.
woman. And of course, the baby is aborted. And some people say that's a fetus. Okay, yeah, it's a fetus, but it's a creation. It's already starting to create a human. So that's the part that it bothers me. But I know family members who have had abortion. It's like I still love them. I don't think it's anything less of them, but it's just sad to me. So, like I said, everybody has an opinion, and that's my opinion that abortion is not good. But I know that that has a lot of room for negotiating too. When a woman or a child is molested and they conceive because of the molestation and the incest, or a rape happens, yeah, there are
Yeah.
some very serious situations. And then again, when the woman's life is endangered because of this birth, just the way it happens sometimes, that for that baby to be born, the woman's probably going to die. So what do you want?
Exactly.
You want the woman to continue living and the baby to die, or vice versa, for the baby to die and the woman to live? So a lot of things to think about.
Exactly. I share the same idea, and it's a polemic question, and it's necessary to understand the whole picture, you know. And for me, the abortion is only the, how can I say, the final event of a lot of misunderstanding or mistakes that occurred before, you know. Because in the case of Brazil, okay, because of the lack of education, the lack of health system, fair health system here, or even human conditions, you know, in general. That's the question. So the abortion is the last frontier of a lot of mistakes.
Well, I know that in Brazil, especially in the past, a lot of poor families, they had big families. Okay, they had big
Yeah.
families because it was okay. Some of it was because the reason that if they have more children, they have more workers on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the future, not today, but over the years, as you're caring for the family, you have more people who can help produce crops, take care of the animals for the family, to have food to live on. So
Mm-hmm.
there are some situations where this was the case, but now as things are developing more in Brazil, the large families are not something that many people say, yeah, I want a big family. I want 10 kids. You don't find many families, becoming that large anymore. They are a lot smaller. And I think a lot of it is because of material things. When a family gets to a certain level of income and they start enjoying some of the material things of this world, like cars, a house, all the things that go in a house, like a TV, refrigerator, they start to get some level of comfort. They start to think, well, if we want to continue to grow in this area, we can't have many kids. We can't feed many mouths. Okay. And then they start to think, what are we going to do? Are we going to, am I going to get a vasectomy or are you going to get a hysterectomy? Okay. To prevent us from having children, to have more children in our family. So it becomes, I think, part of it because of the materialistic things that we start to have in our lives that affects us. And the people who are just poor, it's not a big thing for them. For them, still to have a big family is a good thing, to have people to help with the farm. This still exists, but it's not as much as it was, I think, in 10 years ago. I think it started to transform over about the 10 or 15 year mark in the past. But it still exists that there are big families today, but not like in the past.
Yeah, it changed, and it's still changing this behavior of Brazilian society because, for example, there are a lot of families that the head is a woman. There's no father, there's no man, in the family. So it's quite difficult to grow another child in the same family. So I think it's this is another reason. The other one is women started to work and to study, and I think they are thinking more in their own careers, and before to become a mother.
Yep, that's true. And that's the education process of educating our population, of our society, is that the people start to understand they have choices. They don't need to do what mom and dad did in the past. They can make other choices for their lives and for their, like you said, their career with themselves. So they can make a change and make things better. Okay. So this idea of being better is a personal thing, because if you live in a family that lives on the farm, that's great. There's no problem. Why do I need to worry about having more children? I think children are great. So it's all about a personal belief and the ideas about our lives. So it's all good. But listen, we're coming to the end of our time right now. Just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. Look forward to having some more time with you in the future. We'll try to keep bringing some interesting topics, sometimes controversial or polemic, but still interesting. So we thank you again for joining us today. So I want to say this is Uncle Bruce saying goodbye for tonight, and Juvenile.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, and I appreciate everybody that is following us. So let's see you in the next episode.
Very good. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.